Hey, let me come here. Let me explain something to you. You be extremely. No, don't walk away from me.
I'm walking. Am I under arrest?
No, just be extremely careful when you come up on somebody.
Okay, I knocked on your window
Extremely
after
careful.
you
That's
cut
called
across
menacing.
2 lanes without
Okay.
your turn signal.
Oh, I think you're fixing to go to jail. But
Because of your
listen
bad
to
driving.
me. You do not come up in a protest like that, beating on my window.
I
You about
knocked on your
scared me because
window.
I had no clue you were there.
Okay.
Okay?
Well,
It's not extremely smart to be acting the way you're acting right now because I will put you in jail.
She don't have any respect for
Okay?
No,
I
I
will
don't.
put you in jail. I don't care.
Okay.
Plain and simple.
Uh-huh.
First off, your disorderly conduct,
What
menacing,
disorderly
beating on my
menacing?
window like
you
that.
are
Okay?
armed to the teeth, and I'm menacing. I knocked
You don't
on
walk
the
up on
window.
us like that.
That is Deputy Croft with the McCracken County, Kentucky Sheriff's Office. You may have already seen this footage originally uploaded by Lackluster, who did a great rundown on what happened here. Hundreds of people have asked me to review this video, and I absolutely find it outrageous. I've already been in touch with Lackluster about it, who graciously provided me with the raw footage, etc. And I've already been in touch with this woman and put her in touch with one of my friends, whom you may know, and he's currently reviewing the situation. So perhaps we can help this lady here, or perhaps he can. Were there any constitutional violations here? Well, let's go through it. I'll link below the Lackluster video, which does a great job of laying out, including with graphics, exactly how this went down before the Bodycam turns on. And it's basically this woman was driving and this cop in a marked police car basically cut her off. She thought he was driving poorly, and they both ended up in the McDonald's parking lot. She walks up, gets out of her car, she walks up to the police car and basically just knocks on the glass, intending, according to her, to tell him that he is a bad driver. And of course, we have a First Amendment protected right to criticize our government officials, including police officers, but many times cops don't see it that way.
Hey, let me come here. Let me explain something to you. You be extremely. No, don't walk away from me.
I'm walking. Am I under arrest?
No, just be extremely careful when you come up on somebody.
Okay, be extremely careful
Listen,
when you're
I
driving
didn't see
because you cut me off. You
Listen,
did
I
not even use your
see
turn
you.
signal. Use
At
your
the
turn
last
signal.
minute, he called. He needed me over here.
So use your turn
Okay,
signal.
I did not
Is that
know
the law?
that. Okay,
Are you supposed
listen,
to use
do
the turn
not
signal?
come up threatening on me like that.
I'm
That's
not
a good way to
threatening.
go to
Look
jail.
at you.
Okay.
For what? My bad drive?
No.
You're going to
you
send
do
me
not
to
come
jail
up
for
here
your
beating
bad
on my
driving.
window,
I
man.
knocked on your window.
Okay.
I knocked on your
Be
window
extremely
after
careful.
you
That's
cut
called
across
menacing.
2 lanes without your turn signal.
Oh, I think you're fixing to go to jail. But
Because of your
listen
bad
to me.
driving.
You do not come up in a protest like that, beating on my window.
I
You about
knocked on your
scared me because
window.
I had no clue you were there.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, did you have a clue I was behind you when you cut across 2
I
lanes
did
of
not.
traffic?
No, I
Then
did
you
not.
should drive better.
Okay. I have a dog in my back. It's hard for me to see. I've done apologized to you. Now this will be the
didn't hear
third
that.
time.
Okay.
Okay. It's not extremely smart to be acting the way you're acting right now because I will put you in jail.
She don't have any respect for
Okay.
No,
I
I
will
don't.
put you in jail. I don't care.
Okay.
Plain and simple.
Uh-huh.
Do you understand me?
Do I understand what?
That I will put you in jail.
For what?
First off, your disorderly conduct,
What
menacing,
disorderly
beating on my
menacing?
window like
you
that.
are
Okay?
armed to the teeth, and I'm menacing. I knocked
You don't
on
walk
your
up on
window.
us like that.
Okay. May I drive away now?
Not yet, you're not.
And there we have it. The Fourth Amendment has been implicated here. She says, "May I drive away now?" And he says, "No." Thus, what's happening? She's being detained. She's not being arrested yet. So an investigative detention, an investigative detainment, is a seizure under the Fourth Amendment. It's a lower threshold required for an arrest. It just requires that there's some reasonable suspicion that can be articulated, even by lawyers after the fact, for the cop, that some crime may have been committed and he's got to investigate. In this case, he's clearly going to run her license plate and/or license and check her criminal history. What reasonable suspicion exists? And many times I ask in these videos, police officers should ask themselves, do I really need to be doing this? What should he have done? He did apologize for the way he was driving, and he should have left it at that. Instead, he is going to flex his authority. And that's why these situations are not at all when a-holes collide situations, because you're dealing with the power of the government. I just got back from a 11-hour drive back from Florida, If somebody flips me off or there's some sort of road rage incident, yeah, I might get mad. I can call the cops on somebody, but I can't detain them under, using a badge and the full authority of the government in McCracken County, Kentucky, to retaliate against that individual. It's a red herring that there may be a-holes on both sides, which I don't think is the case here. I mean, she seems pretty reasonable to me. Other people don't like it when citizens flex their rights, when they criticize the government. But you know what? Freedom is scary. We have the right to do that in this country, and she's flexing her rights here. And here comes the retaliation. But what reasonable suspicion does he have? Anyways, let's continue.
Started dropping right there.
48.
Go ahead.
Kentucky, Edward 3, Young 180. Also, send me another unit over here. McDonald's.
If I did that, I would have gotten.
48 on
We don't
top
write a lot of tickets. We don't. I've written like
Temple.
2 this year. I have other things to do.
28 comes back to 2022 Chevy 4-door white to a Juniper Milligan out of Smithland. It's valid and it's on.
10 with that vehicle on at this point. Do you have your driver's license on you, ma'am?
It's
Simple
a
question.
traffic stop.
It is now.
Why?
Because you got out on my vehicles and beat on my window. Now, right now, I'm investigating a disorderly conduct. I need to see your driver's license and your proof of insurance.
Okay, this is not a traffic stop because I walked.
Do
up-
you understand what I'm asking you?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay,
I just don't
I
think
need
you're
you to
right.
get your driver's license and proof of insurance.
I'm all for helping out your buddies, but you don't cut people off across the street. Driving across 2 lanes of traffic.
Need your driver's license. See your driver's license.
I'm sorry, please don't take it out of my hand.
Let me have your driver's license
No,
so I
I
can
am
cut you a
required to
citation.
present it. Hey, give
Back
my
off
property
before
back.
you go to jail.
Give my property back.
Don't sit down.
Don't be reaching in your car either.
For my phone.
Well, I've got it all on recording.
Yeah, I know.
Ain't that? So, I can't do nothing with this dog in the back seat.
He stole my property.
State
He
rights.
snatched it
No,
out
he
of my
didn't.
hand.
That's the state's property.
It's
Stay
my
right there.
property.
Okay,
He snatched
so-
it out of my hand.
Pull up. I went in the far lane over here. I guess I cut in front of her. Never seen her over there. Of course, I can't see a whole lot of that. She comes up here. I'm getting ready to talk to him. She comes beating on my window. Scares me to death. Had no clue. Jump out. She starts freaking boom, 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 boom. So I hit the record it. Start recording. And now she's been the way she's been. I mean, she's yelling and screaming. She's disorderly. I'm fixing to hook her for disorderly. Hold that and go ahead and.
So now Deputy Croft is explaining to a second deputy who arrived on the scene what happened. And this is something that I see many, many times. And that's where a subsequent officer arrives, body cams are on, and the first officer starts to exaggerate to the second officer. And sometimes they use that against people because they'll have the second officer basically book somebody, take them to jail and all that. And they didn't see everything. They're just relying on what they were told by the first officer. So that's why it's extremely important that body cams exist and that defense lawyers have access to all the body cam footage to see what the story was the first time. It doesn't matter what they put in the report. We want to hear what Deputy Croft told this deputy at the scene. And then we want to compare that to the actual footage from Deputy Croft's body cam, which shows that some of that is a lie, some of that is exaggeration. For what he's discussing now, arresting her for the Kentucky state law violations of disorderly conduct, perhaps menacing, he has to have more than reasonable suspicion. What does he need to have? probable cause. Did he have probable cause? Let's continue.
Let me.
Oh, I don't walk with my people like that. Once I'm on the clock,
Negative.
10-4, got any seconds ready.
Got
Mary 22-621-292.
10-4.
Now Deputy Croft makes a phone call, and then of course he mutes his body cam, and then he also talks to the other deputy after the phone call. Again, half of that conversation is muted as well. And as I've explained before, we just have to assume that these conversations would be incriminating towards Deputy Croft, showing that he's conspiring to falsely arrest this woman. But it was his choice to turn off the audio.
Shoot on your window like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Toyota 4Runner, maybe go with the year of 2025.
Do it. Yeah, I'll do transfers.
I mean, I'm just.
Negative, thank
You
you.
follow me up there, you do the.
I'll have to do the citations and trying to help him on that burglary deal.
The truck on one back in April.
Is 52? Where's he at?
I think you can get in jail.
Let's say if he could
That's 95
meet with this guy and go through his house, search his
Yeah,
house.
he went 10-12 with 95, so it'd be good to.
Let's roll with it. Go up there and 10-12 her. Let me talk to her. Let me make sure you know what this day.
D6 girl.
Miss Mulligan, you need to go ahead and turn around, put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest.
For what?
Disorderly conduct and menacing.
Menace. This is funny.
Don't resist.
I'm going to do it. Just,
Okay.
you don't have to hand.
Put your hands behind your back.
You want my keys, Mom? Yes, take my keys.
Hang tight. Hang tight. Don't be grabbing on stuff. Just hang tight.
Why?
Back up.
We'll give it to you, but don't be jerking out until we know it. We don't know what you're pulling out of
Okay,
your
well, you're not allowed to go in my pocket.
Okay, then have a seat.
33.
You don't want us to go in your... Yeah, actually, we can go
No,
in your pocket. You're
you
under
can-
arrest, so I mean, we got to search.
Stop it.
No, I'm Caldwell. Oh, that's my daughter.
I'm double walking these cuffs and they don't have that one.
Whatever
You
you
got any
feel
pocket knives or anything on you?
like. Nope.
Okay. If she don't want to give her keys up, then we'll tow that vehicle.
Temper.
Now this is what I think is a really interesting part of the video, very telling, because this second officer now goes to the rear of the police car where this woman is sitting in the back, handcuffed, already arrested, and he starts to sort of cop-splain to her why she's in this predicament. And he's lamenting the fact that she chose to exercise her First Amendment rights in the way that she did, rather than going to the sheriff and filing a formal complaint.
I'm going to read you something because you're currently placed under arrest, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court. You have the right to an attorney before making any statements and have your attorney with you during questioning. If you cannot afford an attorney and desire one, the court will appoint one for you. You may stop the questioning at any time by refusing to answer further or by requesting to consult with your attorney. Do you understand each of these rights that I have explained to you?
Yes.
Okay. Keeping these rights in mind, you know you don't have to talk to me and you can invoke these at any time.
All right.
Do you wish to talk to me about what happened today that led to this? Because it's honestly, I don't know. I rolled up here and the situation was already happened.
Right. Will it affect my arrest?
Do what?
Will it affect this? Do I get out?
No.
Okay, well, that cop, whoever, cut across 2 lanes of traffic
We're at over here on the road.
on the bridge. Cut in front of me across 2 lanes of traffic, no lights, no signals. And I honked at him, and then I came here to tell him he was a bad driver, and this happened.
Well, so tell me how you went about telling him that he was a bad driver. I believe that's where the problem's gonna
I just went
lie.
up and knocked on his door. I knocked twice on glass. That's it.
Well, I mean, you realize there's better. Would you agree that we could have went about this in a better way? You know that you can just go to the sheriff's department and say, "Hey, I want to talk with the sheriff. I've got a problem with what happened today on the road." Do you realize that's the way to go about this? Because I don't. Listen, let me tell you something. I do not enjoy taking away people's freedoms. I did not get in this job to do so. I take it very seriously, okay? And I hate that this is what it's come to today, okay? But I wish that on your side as well, I wish that we could have done better today to not do this. Because, I mean, I wish that we would have been able to go, you know what, he would have, I guarantee if you went to the sheriff's department and said, this is what's happening, they would have called him directly and he would have came up there and you guys could all three had a meeting.
All I wanted to do was tell him he was driving badly.
Yeah.
And then he turned it around and got mad at me. All I was going to do was let him know he cut across 2 lanes of traffic. You know, if you're supposed to uphold the law, you should, like, actually follow the law.
I agree. But at the same time, whenever something like that happens, and you do this, and you take it to this, I mean,
I just wanted to let him know he was driving badly. As someone in uniform, he should do better. He should be aware of the laws he's trying to enforce.
Well, let me ask you this, man. Do you think if we could go back in time and you do this a little bit different, do you think that it was appropriate?
Okay, fine. You're right. I would park and I would wait for him to notice me. But I would still want to let him know.
And there's nothing wrong with if he pulled in here and he did that, and you can pull in here as well, obviously, you know, and then if he was walking in there to get something to eat, you could say, "Excuse me, sir, this is what happened on the road. I do not appreciate it." And you can, you know what? I will be filing a complaint. Okay. And that is your right to do. But I tell you, whenever you go there and you beat on his window and you put him in fear of physical injury, it's called menacing.
I disagree with that.
Well, I wasn't here for that. Okay. So, but like I said, I don't like the way that this has turned out today.
Me neither.
But moving forward, I mean, I want you to be able to just. I get frustrated on the road too. Even being in a marked police car, hey, people pull out in front of me all the time, and it's frustrating. And I want to go up there, and I want to say, you know, what are you doing? What are you doing? But I can't, because that's first of all that's extremely unprofessional, and there's better ways to do it. Okay. So that's true. I appreciate you being nice and cordial with me and talking to me. I promise I'm not a mean person. Okay. I'm going to do my best to be able to have your mom take the car where it doesn't get towed. Okay?
I appreciate that.
All right. Well, I'll be back with you this morning, okay? Can you feel the air?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, before we get to my thoughts on this, let's take a look at the only other information really we need to look at this point. I have a copy of the very brief police report filled out by Deputy Croft. Here's what he said. Above, that means this lady, came to this deputy's vehicle while I was meeting with a Livingston County deputy on McDonald's parking lot. Above started beating on my driver's side door, screaming at me. I rolled down the window and she stated that I cut her off on the highway. I advised that this was not a good idea to come up on law enforcement vehicles like that. Above was acting in a threatening manner and very loud and disruptive in the parking lot. There were several customers in the parking lot and also the Livingston County deputy, whom he doesn't feel it's necessary to name, apparently. Above was asked for her driver's license and asked me if this was a traffic stop, and I advised it was at this point. Above was placed under arrest for menacing and also disorderly. Body-worn camera turned into evidence, and that's it. So let's look at the statutes. I did a little bit of research and also talked to a Kentucky attorney who you may know, who's a friend of mine. And let's go through these statutes. So she was charged with disorderly conduct in the first degree under Kentucky state law. A person is guilty of disorderly conduct in the first degree when he or she, in a public place and with intent to cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or wantonly creating a risk thereof, engages in fighting or in violent, tumultuous, or threatening behavior, makes unreasonable noise. That's pretty much it. And then it goes into things you can't do around a funeral. The key word here, intent to cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or wantonly creating a risk thereof. Engaging in fighting or in violent, tumultuous, or threatening behavior. So was there probable cause that this officer witnessed indicating that this lady did those things? Secondly, let's look at the menacing statute in Kentucky that she was charged with. Menacing. A person is guilty of menacing when he or she intentionally places another person in reasonable apprehension of imminent physical injury. That's it. Keyword there, again, being intentionally. Also a keyword there, reasonable apprehension. Why are the statutes important here? Because as I see it, there are really two different civil rights claims here in a civil lawsuit against this police officer or these police officers. One is a First Amendment claim or claims, First Amendment retaliation, and I think that's obvious. The more difficult claim here is the Fourth Amendment claim for false arrest. Now, to prove that, you have to prove that a warrantless arrest was made, which it was, in the absence of probable cause. But here's the kicker. This is usually the problem. It's an objective standard. So it doesn't matter what the police officer put in the report. It's whether after the fact, all the lawyers and judges looking together, examining the case law, examining the statute, whether they can come up with any plausible theory that this lady could have been arrested under these facts. So it's a difficult burden to meet, even if the police officer clearly has bad intentions or is engaged in a conspiracy. But fortunately here, we have plenty of body cam footage which shows exactly what happened for the most part and what didn't happen, with the exception of what happened just before the body cam turned on. But what do these, which are undisputed facts shown by the body cam, what does this show me? Or what does it show a judge? What does it show a jury? That undisputedly, this woman had no intention of threatening this police officer with any sort of physical harm. It's that she was expressing her criticism to this police officer. And even if he was startled at the beginning, which is absurd, that is not a crime under Kentucky law because she had no intention of threatening physical harm or causing the apprehension or the fear of physical harm to this police officer, even if him lying about it were true. And we see documented on video everything that happened afterwards. And so it's very clear that this arrest was made in retaliation for the criticism, or maybe for her bumper sticker, maybe for just the nerve of this lady to flex her rights. So I think there's a First Amendment retaliation claim here very clearly. I do believe there's a false arrest claim here, and I definitely would take this case if it was in West Virginia, and I'd probably get involved personally in it if it were a little closer in Kentucky. And I've put this lady in touch with one of my good friends, and you know who he is, and hopefully he'll end up taking the case. We'll see. Bad cops like this could not exist if they were not protected by the local criminal justice system here. And we saw the other deputies actively involved in protecting this misconduct. And then you have prosecutors. It definitely could not happen without the prosecutors. And some prosecutors are tyrants and some are just cowards and they're afraid to piss off local law enforcement. This lady has a GoFundMe, and I'll put a link to it below. It already has over $9,000 in it just after Lackluster's video was published. So if you want to help her cause, it's going to take a lot of expense and legal fees to litigate her case. Donate to her GoFundMe. Let's see how much higher we can get it. Please subscribe both here and at the blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com. It's great to be back. Remember, freedom is scary. Deal with it.